Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me on this Let's Learn. Now, before we get started with Microsoft Power BI Desktop, I just want to put a face to the voice that you'll be hearing. My name is Angel, and I'll be the one guiding you in today's session. For today's agenda, we're going to first talk about what is Power BI, specifically the desktop version. We'll be diving into a live demonstration where we'll discover how to use different areas of Power BI. We'll create our own report utilizing a sample dataset. We'll be exploring the Power Query, we'll create our own measures, write formulas, and model our data to understand the building blocks of Power BI Desktop. Microsoft Power BI is a business analytics service that delivers insights for analyzing data. It can share those insights through data visualizations, which make up reports and dashboards to enable fast, informed decisions. Whether your data is a simple Microsoft Excel workbook or collection of cloud-based and on-premises hybrid data warehouses, Power BI lets you easily connect your data source, visualize or discover what's important, and share that with anyone or everyone you want. Power BI can get data insights you need right inside of Office tools you use every day without having to change applications. Today, users can analyze their data in Excel using a live connected experience to Power BI. In Excel, you can view certified and promoted data sets that can be shared with you throughout your organization. Many teams and organizations use lists and SharePoint Online to store data. To help users easily visualize their list data, you can automatically generate Power BI visuals with a single click. A guided experience in Power BI Service and Microsoft Teams allows users to type and paste data and instantly get an auto-generated report that they can then slice and dice with a single click. Power BI is part of the Microsoft Power Platform, which also includes Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Virtual Agents. The vision for Power Platform started from the recognition that data is increasingly flowing from everything, and the belief that organizations that harness their data to gain insights, then use it to drive intelligent business processes, will outperform those that don't. We have Power BI, which will be our main focus today, where you can make informed, confident decisions by putting data-driven insights into the hands of those who need it. We have Power Apps. You can turn ideas into organizational solutions by enabling everyone to build custom apps that solve business challenges. We have Power Automate, where you can boost business productivity to get more done by giving everyone the ability to automate organizational processes. And we have Power Virtual Agents, where you can easily build chatbots to engage conversationally with your customers and employees. No coding required. Now, with Power BI, it consists of three main applications. We have the desktop version, we have the web version, and we have the mobile version. The Windows Power BI desktop app enables you to create rich, interactive reports in a PowerPoint for data-like experience that can be published to your Power BI service to be viewed by others. If you're a report creator or designer, you'll primarily be utilizing Power BI Desktop, which is the main focus for today. The Power BI Service is a software as a service application that runs on the web. While the Power BI Service is commonly used for consuming reports built in Power BI Desktop, it is also possible to create out-of-the-box reports, dashboards in the cloud. And we have our mobile Power BI app, which enables you to view those reports that are published no matter your location. Power BI Desktop combines state-of-the-art interactive visualizations with industry-leading data query and modeling built in. With Power BI Desktop, you can virtually explore your data through a free-form drag-and-drop canvas that includes a broad range of modern data visualizations and an easy-to-use report authoring experience. Once you get started with Power BI Desktop, we will refer to several different building blocks. The important parts are datasets, modeling, and reports. Dataset is a collection of data that is imported or connected to directly. Model is where you're getting your data you've connected to ready for analysis. This includes creating relationships between tables and creating measures. And then we have our reports, one or more pages of visualizations, graphs, and text. A typical workflow involves all of the building blocks. You'll collect and shape data to create data sets, prepare the data for analysis by creating measures and building relationships in a data model, and then create reports full of visualizations that highlight meaningful insights that can be published to Power BI service and shared with others. Now we're going to go ahead and jump into today's demonstration. I'm just going to go ahead and apologize for a slight dip in audio quality as I'll be stitching this with an older video. Enjoy. I'm currently using a virtual machine running Windows 10, and today we'll be running with the desktop version. You can easily find your desktop version if you've already downloaded it within your Start tab, where you can go to the P section, and you can launch Power BI Desktop from here. One of my favorite tricks is right-clicking and pinning it to your Start menu. So I already have it pinned right over here to my Start menu. If you're utilizing Windows 11, you can do the same thing. Just simply right-click and pin it to your Start. So we're going to go ahead and launch Power BI Desktop. Now, once you launch Power BI Desktop, you'll be greeted with this particular window. In this window, you can easily start learning Power BI by watching small clips of videos. You can see what's news, you can watch forms, or even tutorials from here. In addition, you can start building reports by getting your data directly from here, and you'll also find a list of data reports that have been shared with you. If you've already been familiarized with the desktop version, you also have the option right down here to show this screen on startup, so you can always uncheck this if you don't want it. You can go to the corner up here and just click on X. That'll be on the upper right-hand corner of this particular window. And now, before we start jumping into building our reports, we want to go over some general navigation from here. If you pay attention to the far left-hand side, you'll find our reports. Our reports on the left screen is where we're going to be able to build our reports in Power BI, and we have the drag and drop experience. So this is where we're going to see our final results. We're going to see our data. This is where we're going to see the raw data. So anytime that you incorporate that, getting that data, you're going to see the raw reports from here. And we have our modeling tab. This is where modeling tab allows you to view existing relationships between tables. We can see tables that do not have relationships yet, and we can also form relationships within those tables here. We'll be going through that today. Towards the bottom, you'll see some pages here. So currently, it depends on which tab you're selecting, but this is mostly going to be like an Excel type of experience. When we go to our data, it's not going to be there. But when we go to our reports, you're going to see pages if you want to build multiple reports. On our right-hand side, we'll find our fields. Our fields is where our data is going to generate, which we'll be going into in a bit. We have our visualizations, where we can format how our visualization looks. Speaking of format, you also have the option here to continue formatting from here as well. And we have our filters as well, which we won't be going much into. Mostly filters will be discussed through Power BI services. On the top, we'll find a ribbon, which is very similar to like you would find on PowerPoint or even Excel. We're currently on our home tab where you will get your data. So from here, you can get data, and you can pull up data from almost anywhere. If you want a full list, you can just go down to where it says more. And once you click on more, you'll have a new window that will open up that showcases all of the sources you can get that data from. And you can even get data from the web. So if the data you're trying to get to is not in this list, but it is a web-based data, you can go to the web section. Go ahead and close this out. You can also pull your Excel workbook from here. You also have some general inserts, like where you can transform your data from here, other than going into the Transform tab. Well, we will actually be doing this in once we start pulling a sample data set. We can have new visuals here. We can add a text box here as well. We'll be utilizing this in a little bit. If we go back to our tabs here, we can go to our insert, where you can easily insert your Power Platform from here, or AI visuals. You can also insert general stuff like text, shapes, and images from here as well. We have our modeling. Currently, this is grayed out for the most part. That's because we haven't incorporated data yet, but we will be doing this in a bit. We'll have our View tab. Within our View tab, you have a theme here where its functions very much like PowerPoint, where you can go ahead and just customize the theme overall look of the report once you're done, instead of having to go and change the visualization of each individual report. From here, you can even change the mobile layout, as well as Performance Analyzer, which we'll be touching on towards the end. We also have our Help section. Within our Help section, you can find support for Power BI. You can also find Power BI blogs, as well as documentations from here. One of my favorite things from this list is the community. When it comes to our community, it's built of Power BI users like you and me. So if you have any questions that you can't find while you're searching for it, you can always go to the Power BI community, and people are eager to help from there. Now, let's go ahead and start building a report. And to build a report, we're going to start with a sample data set. So from here, we're going to click on Sample Data Set. We're going to load Sample Data Set from here so we can learn how to use Power BI Desktop. And once it loads here, it's going to give us essentially some Excel sheets. We have our financials, and we have our Sheet 1. Sheet 1 will be the entire report, essentially. And we can incorporate this data. We can incorporate both or just one. For today, we're just incorporating the financials. If this is being updated live, you can go ahead and just refresh the data from here to make sure that you have the correct data. You can also refresh the report directly within this particular window, where you have the refresh button here as well. Now, if you pay attention below, you'll have the option to load the data right away as is, or we can go ahead and transform the data using our Power Query Editor, which we'll be utilizing right now. So instead of loading it as is, I want to go ahead and transform the data to make sure I have the best possible visuals. And once you click on Transform Data, you'll be greeted with your Power Query Editor, where you can now start enabling your, where you can start transforming your data. And much like other Microsoft 365 applications, or much like this one right here, you also have a ribbon specifically for this Power Query Editor. We're currently on our Home tab, which within our Home tab, you'll find the first option here to be Close and Apply. This is a very important step that we'll be utilizing once we're done transforming our data. From here, you'll find various ways to transform. If you go to the Transform tab, which you'll also find that there's many ways to do one thing. So we don't necessarily have to go to the Transform tab, as we'll showcase how to do transformations within your home. We'll have the option to add a column from here. We have the option to view. As you can see, there's a lot of visuals right over here. These are, you can always disable these by clicking on the visuals. This would be a great way if you want to see the column quality. We're currently on our segment, and in our column quality, it'll tell us if there's empty rows, or empty rows or empty columns from here. We have also our column distribution, where our column distribution will also give us more information here, where we can go ahead and also have the option to remove duplicates if there are duplicates
but we also have that option within our home, which we'll review in a second. We have the option for column profile as well, where we can select each particular column and it'll give us essentially mini visualizations within Power BI Query, so we can make sure that we have the most accurate data, or we're delivering the most accurate data from here as well. We're going to go ahead and uncheck these, keep things a little simple. We also have our tools as well as our help section here, just like you would on your standard Power BI desktop. So if you need support from here, you can always click on support or even watch more training videos from here. We're going to go back to our home, and we're going to now start working on changing the data here to make sure that we have, or transforming the data to make sure we have the most accurate numbers for reporting. First thing I want to do here is put your attention on each line or each column. Each column has a different number here. So this one has 1.2, indicating that this has decimal points. Over here, you see ABC, indicating that it is currently on currently just letters. And we have numbers over here indicating that they're just numbers without decimals. Now, you can easily transform this data as well from here. So currently I can click on where it says 1.2, and I want to make sure that I want to give whole numbers instead of giving with decimals. So I can just simply click on whole numbers, and that will go ahead and transform my data. I can click on replace current, and there you go. Now, if I want to continue formatting my data, I have the option over here to also transform this data. For example, I want all this to be capitalized. I can stay within my home, and from within my home within my transform, we can go into our format section. Within our format section, we can put this all uppercase, make sure it stands out. But keep in mind that any changes that you make here, you cannot undo. That's why if you pay attention to our properties pane on our right-hand side, you'll notice those changes. In this case, I've uppercased all the letters within my segment, so it tells me uppercased text. Now, if I want to refer back to this and make sure that I know exactly where I uppercased, I can right-click this, and I'll have several options here. I can delete from here. I can delete it here as well. I'll have several options, but what I want to do here is this rename. By clicking rename, I can just simply write down here segment. By writing down segment, I can now know for sure that when I look at this uppercase text, I know it's within my segment section. So again, it's very important to keep track of this when you're editing your data in Power Query, as again, there's no undo button within this window. Now, same thing, I want to continue editing over here or transforming my data. I can continue scrolling to the side and see what needs to be changed. For example, I don't want my this particular month number or month name. No month number would be very good to see, but I don't think we need the month name to be named this way. We can just simply name it month. So the same way we can rename within our properties pane, we can also rename directly from here as well. So we can right click, and we'll have the option to rename this as well. So from here, I can rename this. Where is it? Here it is, rename. So I can click on rename. Instead of month name, we can just name this month. And as I make those changes, it will reflect here within my applied steps. So again, I can rename this and make sure that rename columns, I can just simply put month. Now I can continue transforming. One other thing that I want to do here is I want to make sure that I have all the products to display that are currently within our catalog. In this case, I know that Montana has been discontinued, so I can utilize the drop-down menu here that works very much like it would on Excel. From here, I can change the sorting ascending or descending, and I can also remove by simply clicking on Montana here. So I can remove that from this particular list. And again, I can go ahead and just right-click this and rename this And I'm going to go ahead and title this Montana to make sure that those applied steps have been noted. And I know exactly where we're going to, exactly what that step implies. Now, I can continue scrolling here and just make sure that everything as is. And I think I'm good. Now, from here, we can go ahead and continue transforming our data if you needed to. There's also ways where you can go within your Home tab where you can click on the Remove option where you can remove rows, whether you want to remove duplicates, remove blank rows, or remove rows that have errors. You can go ahead and do that from here as well, just to make sure that you're giving out the most accurate report. Now, we've just explored just a small sample of our 300 transformations that are available inside Power Query. As we begin to get more familiar with Power Query, you'll notice that there are so much more to do. For now, we're just going to close this data and move on so we can go ahead and now start building our report. It is very important that you click on Close and Apply. So we're going to go ahead and close and apply. And it's going to go ahead and make those changes and serve them up within our reports. Now that is done, we're going to have a lot more options available to us, especially within our modeling tab. Before we had these grayed out, now we have them available. Now I can start building on my report. I can go to my data and see that raw data that we just incorporated or connected to. I can go to my model and see that table from here as well. And from here, I have the option to also hide particular sections of the table that I don't want to show if I didn't want to. But for now, we're going to go ahead and go back to our reports. And now we're going to start modeling our data from here. First, what I want to do is I want to create a new measure. So I'm just going to go ahead and go back to my right-hand side. And I'm currently on the fields pane. I'm just going to go ahead and expand this so you can see all the options here. Now, within my modeling, I'm going to go ahead and click on New Measure. And within my new measures, I want to start creating now a measure here for total units sold. And as you can see, as I click on New Measure, it says measure here because we haven't renamed it. But we're going to go ahead and just rename this. Total units sold. And from here, much like Excel, is where we're going to start building a formula. But again, you do not need to have much coding knowledge, as it will go ahead and start helping you out and giving you suggestions. For example, I want a sum of my total units sold. I can start writing sum. And it's already giving me a lot of options here. I can simply click on sum. And it's already giving me options here of what to select. I know it's going to be within my financials table. So I can start writing down financials. Oops. And again, I want it to be from my units sold. So I want to go ahead and just open up a bracket here. And as I start writing down here. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not my total units sold. It's my units sold. There you go. I can just simply click on the finish options here, and it automatically already closed that bracket. I can just simply close the parentheses to indicate that I'm done. And I can click on the check mark indicating that I'm done with that. And my measure is now going to change into total units sold. Now that we've created that, because in this case over here, I want the total units sold, because if I went to my raw data, my raw data will only show first day, only the report of the first of each month. I want the dates for all of them. So if I have my total units sold selected, and I see here that it is currently selecting with all the months, and again, it's only showing by month and only the first of each month. I want to go ahead and also indicate that the rest of the days, to have a visualization of that as well. Now, to do that, we're going to now create a new table. Let me get a few moments here. I know there was some confusion there, but no worries. So let's go ahead and go back to our, we'll go back to our reports. And from our reports, we're going to go back to our modeling, and we're going to create a new table for that. So because I want every single day, even including the days we didn't make a sale, I'm going to create a new table and title this calendar. If you pay attention to our right-hand side, you'll see now that we've created a new measure earlier with the total units sold. But over here, we have our new table now. And again, we want to showcase that. So we're going to go ahead and put calendar, and we're going to start writing down our formula. And we want an automated calendar. So we're going to click on calendar auto, and we're going to close the parentheses because there's nothing more to do here. Once we're done, we can just simply click on the check mark to indicate that we're done. And Power BI should do the rest for us. Oops, what just happened there? Looks like I just got a little hiccup. Let's go ahead and just do that one more time. I'm going to name this table calendar. And I want an automatic calendar. Oh, looks like it was already created, but oh, it's because it went to the top. There it was. I'm sorry about that. So it looks like it did create it. It just went to the top here. So I have my financials table, but I also have my calendar table here as well. So now if I select my calendar table and I go back to my report or my data, within my data, it's going to showcase now every day instead of just the first day of the month. Keep in mind that our raw data is going to show within our data tab, depending on what you have clicked on. And if we go to our modeling tab, we'll now see both of our tables available. We have our financials table as well as our calendar. And to create a relationship, it's as easy as dragging and dropping. So we're going to go ahead and drag the date here and connect it to our calendar date. And as you can see now, there is a connection here. You can easily right-click this and delete that relationship, or even go into the properties from here as well. Now, if we go back to our fields pane on the right-hand side, you'll notice that there's two dates now. There's a standard date within our financials table and our calendar date within our calendar table. I want to make this simple for people who need to visualize this. So I'm going to go back to my financials table, and I'm going to go ahead and hide this date. So we can only have the option to view that calendar date instead. All right, now we can just go back to our reports. And this time around, now that I have everything ready, I'm going to start now building my report. So from here, I'm going to go ahead and start adding a text box so I can start building this. I'm going to stay within my home tab, and you'll notice that with my home tab is essentially a shortcut to a lot of these other options here. So I'm going to click on text box. It's going to go ahead and make this into a header. And over here, I'm just going to title this. So I can title this our executive summary. Oops. And this is going to be for our financial reports. There you go. And now I can start customizing this in a number of ways. If I go to my my right-hand side, and I go into my format section, I can now format this entire section from here. I can go into the properties, and for the properties, I can control the height, the width. I can go to title, as well as change the effects from here. So, for example, I want the background to be blue. I can do that. Or I can have some shortcuts here where I can change the color from here of the text. I want the text to be white. Actually, let's go ahead and put that there. And I also want this to be a little bigger. So let's be 32. Make this a little smaller. There you go. Also want this to be centered. Perfect. So now that I have that ready, I'm going to go ahead and just make sure that we have enough real estate here. There you go. So now let's start building our reports. Now you're going to see that there's several ways to start building your reports. So in this case here, I'm going to start building our reports by clicking and dragging one of my options here within my financials table. So for example, I want to start here with my profit. I can select my profit, drag and drop it. And as I drag and drop my my report, it's going to give me an automatic visual here based off that particular report. Now, I also want to go ahead and showcase the dates on this particular profit section. Now, if I have nothing clicked, I just click on an empty space and I click on dates, it's not gonna do what I want it to do. So make sure that if you want to incorporate the dates or whatever it is that you want to incorporate within your visual, you have that visual selected. So now I can select dates. Oops. There you go. And now we'll incorporate those dates for me as well. Now, keep in mind that you'll have more options here. Already within my dates, I can see that my dates are currently showcasing as a hierarchy. If I needed to change that, I can go ahead and right click on where it says dates, where it currently has date hierarchy selected, and I can select standard dates here so I can view them by month. So now I can go ahead and expand this and I can view the months correlating. In addition, if I want to change the graph and how it looks, I can go in now into my line chart section and click on line chart so I can change the visuals. Cool thing about this is that you'll see in this case, the line chart, you'll see the peak, but you'll also see the lows here. And I want to know why this dropped. So I can easily click on this particular visual. By right clicking this, I'll have the option here to show as a table, to include, to exclude. But what I want to put your attention here is on analyze, as I can explain the decrease. So I can click on this and it'll give me a new visual as well. Oh, wait, there you go. Looks like it's loading a little slowly. And by clicking on this, I have the option now within Power BI Desktop to include this visual in my report by simply clicking on the plus sign on the upper right-hand corner of this visual. So by clicking on this, it will now give me a report. So now I can explain the decrease and have that here within my visuals. Now, if I want to continue adding more reports, I can do that as well. So let me just get a few moments over here. If I want to add a report by utilizing a Q&A, I want to ask Power BI about the data. I can do that by going into my Q&A option here. So I can select the Q&A box right within my visualizations. It's going to add it here. I can, of course, drag and drop that and move that somewhere else. And from here, I can ask whatever sort of data that I need to for this report to make sense to me. So it's already going to give me some options over here for total COG over time, total sales over time. But what I want to do is ask it here, top countries by total units sold. Oops. Let me get a few moments over here. I have a misspelled. And there you go. It's already giving me a visualization here. Perfect. So I can just simply click on this. I can just simply see this visualization. And from here, if I want to make the question I ask into a visualization, I can go right next to this chat box or this input box, and I'll have this small icon here where it says, turn this Q&A result into a standard visual. So I can click on this, and now I have my summary of my total units sold by country here as well. So I can continue here and I can change the visualization, or I can leave this as is and have this available for me. Let me just get a few moments and go ahead and now adjust this to make sure that everything is fitting into this box. So you can see as you move the boxes around, just like PowerPoint, it will go ahead and help you align them so you make sure that you have the most professional looking report around. So when you move them around, it will give you a line and it will adjust it for you. Now you can also have that Q&A as a visual. So if anyone who's viewing this report wants to ask the report itself a question and have a visualization that they can see that better represents what they want to know, you can also have the Q&A within your visuals as well. One other thing that you can do here is if you want to go ahead and start by a visual beforehand, you can do that as well by creating the visual that you want. So for example, I want here, let's see here, what are the other options? Let me get a few moments. I have my clustered bar chart. I can click on this, or I have my clustered column chart. I think I prefer this one. And now that I have this particular visualization selected, I can now start selecting what I want this to showcase. So from here, I can go back to my fields pane. And if I want to show my segments, I can click on the segments and it'll showcase this, or I can drag this into either my x-axis, my y-axis, my legend. So for example, if I want my segments within my legend, if I want to showcase my profit within my y-axis, and if I want to showcase something else over here, my gross sales within my x-axis, it'll go ahead and give me that visualization from here. And now that I'm done with my visualizations, if I have everything the way I want it to, I can go ahead and now start saving this report. But before I do, what I can do is go into my View tab on my ribbon on the top, and I can make sure that everything looks good. So I can go ahead and click on one of these options here within my themes. So I make sure that everything looks uniformed. Let's see over here. Yep, I think I like this blue theme here. And I can go ahead and now start adjusting these, making sure that it looks a bit more cohesive, a bit more centered. So again, you can start and moving things around, and it will Power BI will help you position these. There you go. I think this looks good enough. So from here, I can go ahead and also create a mobile layout for this by simply continue here within my View tab and go into my mobile layout section. And within my mobile layout section, I can showcase only a few things when you're viewing on mobile, or I can show everything by simply dragging and dropping. So I can drag and drop this here. I can go ahead and expand this. I can do the same thing for our summary of profits here. And the same way that it will give you an outline, same thing will happen within your mobile application here, where it will give you an outline to make sure that you're positioning this in the best way possible. So I can go ahead and move these a little bit down. So I can go ahead and now move in my text box here, and I can go ahead and expand this and make this into a header for this mobile version. And of course, I can continue dragging and dropping and making sure that everything is more cohesive within my mobile view. Once you're done, you can just simply click on mobile layout once again, and it'll exit you out of that mobile view. One other thing I want to check in here is my performance analyzer within the same View tab. Within my performance analyzer, I can go ahead and check to make sure that everything is connected properly, and that I can also see how often my data will refresh. So by clicking on Performance Analyzer, I'll have the option to start recording. And I can refresh my visuals from here. And it'll give me essentially a duration of how long it will last for those reports to update. Once we're done, we can just simply stop. So we can simply get that visual. And now what we can do is we can save the report. We can easily go to the upper left-hand corner where the disk icon is, so we can go ahead and save the report. We could choose a location of where we want to save it. I'm going to go ahead and save this in my documents and click on save. And now you can continue working on this report if you needed to later on, and everything is saved as is. Now, once you're ready to publish the report, so people can collaborate with you, or your colleagues can collaborate with you within Power BI service, all you have to do is go into our file section within our tabs. And within our file section, you will find the option to publish. So we can click on publish, and it will publish within our Power BI reports, Power BI services. So we can click on publish to Power BI. It says, do you want to save your changes? I can click on yes. And that's about it. Since it's already connected to your environment using your credentials, it will be automatically available within Power BI services, so you can collaborate with others, as well as share the reports and make additional changes if you need to, like adding dashboards, which is only available through Power BI services. With that being said, I want to go ahead and now just summarize what we discussed today. So today we learned understanding the building blocks of Power BI Desktop. We explored the data prep capabilities of Power Query. We learned how to write formulas and models within our data tab, whether adding tables or measures. We learned how to begin visualization data from formatting a report, as well as save and publish a report to be used on Power BI service. That being said, thank you for joining us today, and I'll take your questions for next time. You have a wonderful day.